Our study this afternoon is going to be on the book of Ezekiel. As you know, for the last 2 years or so, we have been dealing with the book of Hosea. And the book of Hosea was dealing with the 10th tribe of Israel, whereby they were taken to captivity after they offended God by the Assyrians. Hosea, for that matter, was sent unto the house of Israel and to the 10 tribes. Here in Ezekiel, we are going to see after the 10 tribes were taken to captivity, the 2 tribes, that is Judah and Benjamin, remained in Jerusalem. And they continued for quite some times until also they went into darkness, or they were taken over by the evil of this world, until they came to a point whereby they were taken into captivity by the Babylonians through Nebuchadnezzar. At that time, you remember, in Jerusalem, there was a prophet by the name Jeremiah who was prophesying at Jerusalem and to these people until they were taken unto Babylon. And when they reached in Babylon, God, because He's a merciful God, gave them another prophet, that is Ezekiel. So Ezekiel was prophesying in Babylon, as we are going to see. So we are going to start expositions on the book of Ezekiel, starting from chapter 1. We are going to go slowly by slowly until we see how Ezekiel was a benefit unto the children of Israel in captivity, because he was set up by God specifically for those children of God who are in captivity. And you remember that was the time of Daniel the prophet, who was also in captivity, and Ezekiel was also there. Ezekiel was a prophet, and Daniel was a ruler in Babylon. You remember, he was employed in the house of Nebuchadnezzar. You all remember that history. So we want to see the work of Ezekiel unto the children of Israel, or the 2 tribes, and even those who had gone earlier, because they were there. You remember, the Assyrians and Babylonians, it was the same place. Though the 10 tribes had gone earlier, over 100 years before, these now are going to join them there. So Ezekiel will be their prophet and will teach them many things in Babylon. So we are going to start from verse 1, chapter 1, verse 1, up to verse 3, maybe, and see whether we can do it with those 3 verses and for today, or maybe not even be able to accomplish them, because it will depend on the depth of that truth, the depth of the truth in those verses. In verse 1, chapter 1, verse 1, it says,
Swahili nasema Ikawa katika mwaka wa 30 mwezi wa 4 siku ya 5 ya mwezi, nilipokuwa pamoja na watu waliohamishwa karibu na mto Kebari, mbingu zilifunuka, nikaona maono ya Mungu.
Yes. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Chebar, that the heaven were opened, and I saw visions of God. Here, Ezekiel is exactly pointing out when he started his prophecy. So, the main things here that we need to see is, now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day. Which was this 30th year? This one, it is from the time of Josiah, the king. Josiah, the king. That is, in the 30th year, since the law was founded in Josiah's days, and since that great Passover which was kept by him. I would like us to read 2 Kings 22, verse 1. 2 Kings 22, verse 1. Read it.
Inasema, Yosia alikuwa na umri wa miaka 8 alipoanza kutawala. Akatawala miaka 31 katika Yerusalemu, na jina la mama yake aliitwa Yedida binti Adaya wa Boskati.
Yes, that is Josiah. Why do we pick at Josiah? Because you'll find that Josiah will be the last perfect king to rule in Jerusalem, in the 2 tribes. And his children are the one, or who will come after him, are the one who will be taken into captivity. That is his sons. If you read the same 22, you will find that during that time of Josiah, there came a priest out of the temple, and they found the law, the book of the law. And if you read 2 King 22, it says, 2 King 22 verse 10, it says, and Shaphan the scribe shewed the king, saying, Hilkiah the priest has delivered me a book. And Shaphan read it before the king. And it came to pass, when the king had heard the word of the law, of the book of the law, he rent his clothes. And the king commanded the Hilkiah the priest, and Achiban the son of Shaphan, Archiba the son of Michael, and Shaphan the scribe, and Asher a servant of the king, saying, Go ye inquire of the Lord for me, and for the people, and for all Judah, concerning the word of this book that is found. So you can see, Josiah has found the book of the law. When we say he had found the book of the law, what does it mean? It means that book had been lost. Ni kweli? That means those kings who were there before, they were not interested with the book of the law. His father was not interested with the book of the law. Sasawa. And that's why the book was lost. So you mind that in the time of Josiah, that book was found. And when it was found, he has told the priest to go and inquire for the Lord. That's Josiah. So Josiah did a very big reformation during his time. He did a very big reformation. In fact, if you read 23:33, it says, of the second king 23:33, it says, and Pharaoh, no, 23, Koja. So you'll find that Josiah reformed that church. And when he reformed that church, you will find that his sons, after he died, that is when his sons came into power. And that is, one is Jehoiachin, who reigned 11 years. The other one is Jehoiachin. His son reigned 3 months before he was carried into captivity. And 5 years of his captivity was passed when Ezekiel began his prophet. So these are the sons of Josiah. Josiah was a man of God, and in fact, he did reformations, and that part of Judah, or the nation of Judah, was cleansed of all idols. But when his sons came into power, that is the time, his son, that's the time we are going to see how they are going to go to captivity. All his sons will be destroyed. In fact, there will be no continuation after his sons. We are going to see when we are going to study the Jehoiachins, his sons Jehoiachin. But for now, I just want to mention that why Ezekiel has said that after that years, so he is talking of, God always points to that very important time when there was reformation in Jerusalem, up to the time Ezekiel is now going to prophesy. Because Josiah had done wonderful in that nations, but after that years, throughout that time, during the reign of his children, that's when things became worse, until Nebuchadnezzar will come and take them into captivity, and Ezekiel is going to start his prophecy. Ezekiel is going to start his prophecy. That's why he's saying that after that years, then that's the time he is going to start his prophecy. So now, if we go to Ezekiel 1, chapter 1, it says, now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, that is after Josiah's time, all what went through, and Ezekiel is in where? In Babylon. That is 30th year. We are going to see it so that you may understand how this 30th year has been. But I have tried to tell you. I was among the captives by the river of Chebar, that the heaven were opened, and I saw visions of God. I was among the captive by the river Chebar. So, the river Chebar, this river Chebar, where was it? In fact, this river Chebar, it was a tributary of river Euphrates. It is not exactly known that exact place, but it was a river whereby there was that river joined the river Euphrates somewhere, because remember, Babylon, it is now the Baghdad, that is Iraq. That place of Iraq, that's where the Babylon is. which means the river Euphrates, the word of God has not pointed as to the river Euphrates, but some schoolmen says maybe it's a tributary of river Euphrates. Somewhere, that's where they were. Because remember, the heathens, they never wanted to mix with the Jews. The heathens, they thought themselves superior. So the Jews, even when they were taken captive, they were kept separate somewhere. And that's where Ezekiel was. That's why he says he was a captive near at Chebar. Sasawa. So these captives were fixed by the river Chebar and in the land of Chaldeans. In the land of Chaldeans. Chaldea was the country of Abraham. You remember Abraham had come out from that land. He went from Ur of the Chaldeans, that one you can see it in Genesis 11, that one, or Mesopotamia. Chaldeans or Mesopotamia. That's how it is. It was called. It was called at that time. But in the present generation, it is Iraq. It is Baghdad. It is that land in that place. That's the one which was called Mesopotamia. So it lays on the north of Chaldea, between Euphrates and Tigris. Sasawa. Between river Euphrates and Tigris. So they were somewhere. So when they were taken somewhere between river Tigris and river Euphrates. Sasawa. Now the chief city in Chaldea was Babylon, which is now called Baghdad. Sasawa. That is Arabic significations. Or in Arabic signification is a garden. That is Baghdad is a garden. If you go back to history, this country was also called the land of Nimrod. It was also called the land of Nimrod. Let us read Micah 5:6.
Inasema, nao wataiharibu nchi ya Ashuru kwa upanga na nchi ya Nimrod katika malango yake, naye atatuokoa na Mwashuri atakapoingia katika nchi yetu na kukanyaga ndani ya mipaka yetu.
Yes. And they shall waste the land of Assyria with the sword, and the land of Nimrod in the entrance thereof. Thus shall he deliver us from the Assyrian when he cometh into our land, and when he treateth within our borders. So the same land was called the land of Nimrod. And I have told you, the 10 tribes were taken by the worldly empire when it was under, or that part was under the Assyrians. Assyrians were in power at that time, and those are the ones who took the 10 tribes to the same place of Babylon. But at that time, they were called the Assyrians. But this time, it is another empire with different people in power, though they were genealogies of the Assyrians. Now, that is what we call Babylon. They were all the children of Nimrod. It was all the same land of Nimrod. So, this place is the same place where the 10 tribes were taken some years back. Now, the 2 tribes also are going to be taken there by now the Babylonians, because the Babylonians now were in power. Before they were the Assyrians, but now the Babylonians, that is Nebuchadnezzar, was in power, and he's going to take the two tribes again into the same place. Sasawa. These Chaldeans were a martial people, very cruel. They were very cruel. If you read Jeremiah 6:22-23, Jeremiah 6:22-23, what does it say?
Bwana asema hivi, tazama, watu wanakuja wakitoka katika nchi ya kaskazini, na taifa kubwa litaamshwa litokalo katika pande za mwisho wa dunia. Washika upinde na mkuki, ni wakatili, hawana huruma, sauti yao huvuma kama bahari, nao wamepanda farasi zao, kila mmoja kama mtu wa vita, amejipanga juu yako, binti Sayuni.
That is it. So it is Jeremiah warning this church at that time. That was the prophecy of Jeremiah, and Jeremiah was in Jerusalem before this captivity is going to come. Jeremiah is warning them. He's telling them, these Chaldeans, are people coming from the north country, and a great nation. They shall lay holds on bow and spear. They are cruel and have no mercy. Their voice roareth like the sea. So that was the warning of Jeremiah, which means Jeremiah had seen all this. It was a church that was now going to go again into captivity. So Jeremiah was warning them in Jerusalem. So these were the Chaldeans. In the same verse, it says, as I was among the captivity by the river of Chebar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. And I saw visions of God. So here, that the heavens were opened. What does that mean when we say that the heavens were opened? This means that ordinarily, men by nature, they cannot understand the things of God. They cannot know the minds of God. Our minds are of this world, and we cannot know deeply the things that comes from God. So when Ezekiel says the heavens were opened, that means those things which were beyond our understanding, God opened the mind of Ezekiel so that he could see, he could understand the things of God. Remember, we are separated from God by our sins. We cannot see God. We cannot understand God. Even those people who call themselves the men of God, many are false prophets, because a prophet of God, or someone who is sent by God, he can only speak what truly God has taught him. And when we say heavens open to a person, it means that all his understanding is opened. He can see things of God openly, without any hindrance. And when we say the things of God, we mean the truth, because God is the truth. There is no way heaven can be opened unto you, and yet you don't know the truth. You cannot understand the truth. Truth comes when God's open your minds unto the heavenly understanding. That means you have the gift of truth. Not like the present generation where we have false prophet, whereby they only talk about the things of this world. But when you come to the truth, they cannot tell you the truth. They don't know the truth. But they will always call themselves prophet, as if God can teach someone in darkness. God is the light, and the light thereof is the truth, which means the truth of God was opened unto Ezekiel, and God was going to talk or to teach Ezekiel many things about himself. At the same time, when the heaven was opened, I saw, that's what he said, I saw visions of God. I saw visions of God. So, when heavens was opened, he saw visions of God. That means God opened himself in a special manner that many can think of. Because when he says, I saw visions of God, that is, how do someone see the visions of God? There are many ways, there are several ways. One, by speaking immediately unto them or to someone without interposition of any medium, even mouth to mouth and face to face. You see, when we say visions, there's a time that God can speak to someone face to face as if it is from mouth to mouth. That one, we can get it in Exodus 33:11. Soma.
Nasema, naye Bwana akasema na Musa uso kwa uso, kama vile mtu asemavyo na rafiki yake. Kisha akageuka akarejea hata malangoni, bali mtumishi wake Yoshua mwana wa Nuni, naye ni kijana, hakutoka mle hemani.
Yes, and the Lord spake unto Moses face to face, as a man speaketh unto his friend. And he turned again into the camp. But his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, departed not out of the tabernacle. So that is one way that God can talk unto his people or unto his friend, face to face. This manner of God manifesting himself was peculiar to Moses above any or all the prophet besides, as you may read. In this case, Moses, nobody had such a privilege like Moses had. That was a very close contact with God than any other person have had. Why? Because Moses was a type of Christ. And Christ was very near to God. You can read Deuteronomy 34:10. Soma.
Nasema, wala haijainuka tena katika Israeli, wala hajainuka tena katika Israeli nabii kama Musa, ambaye Bwana alimjua uso kwa uso.
Yes. And there arose not a prophet since in Israel like unto Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. So that is the way, that's one way. The second method is when God manifested himself to his people, or God manifested himself to his people by dreams, which was in the night, which was in the night season. Okay, he manifests in dreams, especially in night season. That one we can get it in Jacob. He manifested himself in Jacob. That is Genesis 28:12. You'll go and read it. And also, you'll find that it says, and the angel of God spake unto him in a dream. So God can manifest to you through a dream. In most cases, those dreams, they are part of the visions of God. God can show himself through visions, and you can know him, and he can reveal himself to you in a dream. That's another method. So that method is God has manifested himself to his people by visions. That is Psalms 89:19. What does it say? Psalms 89:19.
Ndipo ulipowaambia watakatifu wako kwa njonzi, ukasema, nimempa aliye hodari msaada, nimemtukuza aliyechaguliwa miongoni mwa watu.
Yeah. So, also, the word of the Lord came unto Abraham in a vision. That is Genesis 15:1. Numbers 23 inasema, also Numbers 23 verse 8 says, if there be a prophet among you, I the Lord will make myself known to him in a vision, and speak to him in a dream. To Moses will I speak mouth to mouth. That's God who said it. To Moses he'll speak mouth by. So, what is vision? In a vision, there are these things. One, there is some spaces or similitude represent to the side, whether it be to the eye of the body externally or to the eye of the mind internally. Always something is represented to the eye. So a vision, you can even be sitting, your eyes open, then there comes a vision. There comes a representation unto your eyes. Openly, you are opening your eyes, then there comes a representation of some truth that you see with your own eyes, that there was something God was telling me. That is one way how God speaks through a person with a vision. Openly with your eyes. Another one is you are sleeping, or you are closing your eyes. God can also come in that way. That's not a dream. It is a vision. A vision, it means it is something that you can see happening with your minds open. That's a vision. Sometimes with a dream, you will start thinking of a dream. What was I dreaming? But a vision is very vividly brought into your understanding, and you see it. So it can be given to your mind externally, or to the eye of the mind externally, or to the eye of the mind internally. Always something is represented to the eye. That's a vision. A vision of something that is future, whether at some little distant or very remote. Hence, it is that vision is put for prophecy, Isaiah 1:1. Hebu soma.
Inasema, haya ni maono ya Isaya mwana wa Amozi aliyoyaona katika habari za Yuda na Yerusalemu siku za Uzia na Yothamu na Ahazi na Hezekia wafalme wa Yuda.
Yeah. The vision of Isaiah, the son of Amos, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, king of Judah. So, the book of Isaiah is a vision. That Isaiah was being shown a vision. of what is going to happen. You see now, a vision of something that is in the future. God brings a visions of what is going to take place in the future. Not a dream, a vision. Because this one is as if it's something which is going to come in succession, and you are seeing it. Those are the visions that always God talks with his own people. So in a vision, there is always such an irradiation of the mind, such a divine, satisfying, overpowering, strong light that the party who has the vision is put out of all doubt and dispute concerning the truth of the thing he has seen or represented. Kwa hivyo kumaanisha, in a vision there is no doubt. Hakuna kitu na doubt ati sio Mungu alikuwa anaongea na wewe. Always inakuanga is a representation, and there is always something telling you that is God. This is the word of God. Because it has taken your mind and it has irradiated your mind in such a way that truly you get satisfied that God is talking to you. So, another thing I would like you to know is that it is when they are awake that they see vision. God speaks to men by dreams in the dark when they are asleep. But usually visions are when men are awake. That's something that we should know. Visions come when men are awake. Wakati wanafanya nini? So all these are found in the prophet Ezekiel vision. You see, we have seen, if you go to our verse, it says that he saw visions. The heaven was opened unto him, and he saw visions. So you can see what visions are. That there are things that you see not when you are asleep. It is when you are awake. They are not like dreams. So all these are found here in the prophet Ezekiel vision. They are representation of diverse things to him. Tutakuja kuona there are many representation of diverse things unto Ezekiel. He was an hieroglyphical prophet. He had more things presented unto him of that nature than any prophet besides. Kwa hivyo kumaanisha, we have seen God spoke face to face with who? With Moses, not with any other. But when you come to other prophets, either he taught them with dreams and vision, because you have seen it in Isaiah. But when you come to Ezekiel, there is no any other prophet who was shown things in a visionary manner than himself. Sasawa. All that follow here in this chapter are representation of things to Ezekiel in this vision. This book of Ezekiel, it is nothing else. They are the visions that Ezekiel was shown by God, which means they are not dreams. They were things which they were shown unto him when he was awake. See, you will see that all of these things, it is of things to come. For this prophecy being either of the ruin of Jerusalem or of the state of the church. Still, it was of that which was not present but future. It was a vision of what is going to happen to Jerusalem and beyond, even up to our time, as we are going to see. So Ezekiel was shown, he's in Babylon. And even when he is in Babylon, remember, as we are going to see, that Jerusalem was besieged 2 times. Even when Ezekiel in Jerusalem, Jerusalem is not completely destroyed. There is still a king there. King Zedekiah was put in place. They were taken to captivity, but you'll find that, as we are going to see by and by, that Jerusalem, even until that time, when Ezekiel is in River Chebar in Babylon, Jeremiah is still where? In Jerusalem, because it is not completely destroyed. Because when Nebuchadnezzar came the first time, when he took people like Daniel, he put Jerusalem into another king who was supposed to obey him. And that king, Jerusalem will come to be destroyed when King Zedekiah will rebel against that king. Which means, even when Ezekiel is in Babylon, Jeremiah is still in Jerusalem. So here, Jeremiah is going to be shown how Jerusalem is going to be destroyed completely in the future of the church. That's how. So the prophet had strong enlightenings. He had such irradiation of his mind that he was satisfied touching the thing. Therefore he says, the word of the Lord came expressly unto him. The hand of the Lord came upon him in a great deal of strength. Kwa hivyo nikusema, mkono wa Mungu ulikuwa juu ya nani? Juu yake. Na kwa kweli yeye alifanya kazi ya Mungu, na ile kazi Mungu alikuwa amemuitia. When you come to verse 2, it says, we have seen that now I was among the captive by the river of Chebar, that the heavens were opened and I saw visions of God. So Ezekiel has explained himself. Verse 2, it says,
siku ya 5 ya mwezi, nao ulikuwa ni mwaka wa 5 wa kuhamishwa kwake mfalme Jehoiachin.
Yes. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiachin's captivity. You see now, he is still explaining. And that's why it's very important to understand these children of Josiah. He is still explaining that these things is happening in the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiachin's captivity. So, who was King Jehoiachin? It's better to understand. Let us read 2 Kings 24:8. 2 Kings 24:8. Read it.
Inasema, Yekonia alikuwa na umri wa miaka 18 alipoanza kutawala. Akatawala miezi 3 katika Yerusalemu. Na jina la mama yake aliitwa Nehusta binti Elinadani wa Yerusalemu.
Alitawala miezi mingapi?
3.
Yes. So here you see Jehoiachin. Jehoiachin was the father of Jehoiachin. Sawa. That means Jehoiachin, the father of this Jehoiachin, being beset by Nebuchadnezzar about the 2nd or 3rd year of his reign, did declare his son Jehoiachin to be his successor. Sawa. So Jehoiachin is the one who ruled how many years? 3 years. Then he was beset by Nebuchadnezzar. He was beset by Nebuchadnezzar, and he appointed his son Jehoiachin to be his successor. Sasa, I would like us to read 1 Chronicle 3:16. 1 Chronicle 3:16. What does it say? What does it say?
Inasema, na wana wa Yehoyakimu ni hawa, mwanawe Yekonia na mwanawe Sedekia.
Yeah, you see, here I want you to see that the sons of Jehoiakim are Jeconia. Jeconia is Jehoiakim. In Chronicle they call him Jeconia, but is the same that is called here Jehoiakim. You see, and Zedekiah his son. All these sons, all of them are the sons of Jehoiakim. Sasa, I would like you to read Jeremiah 22:30. Jeremiah 22:30. Soma.
Inasema, Bwana asema hivi, andikeni habari za mtu huyu kwamba hana watoto, kwamba mtu huyu hatafanikiwa siku zake zote, maana hapana mtu katika wazao wake atakayefanikiwa akiketi katika kiti cha enzi cha Daudi na kutawala tena katika Yuda.
So huyu ni Jeconia or Jehoiakim. Jehoiakim was written childless. Why was he written childless? It is because after him he has children, but there is not going to be any ruler in that lineage of David. Everything will be cut off. It's as if he will have no children. Because those king, Jehoiakim, is going to be taken to captivity. That's why unasikia Ezekiel akisema it was the 5th year of captivity of who? Of Jehoiakim. Because even he himself is going to be taken there. So here in Jeremiah is saying that man will be childless, will have no children. Because the lineage of David is going to end with him as king. Because when they are going to come out of Babylon, that line will be no longer be the line of kingship. It is a priesthood which shall rule in the nation of Israel. Sasawa? Yeah, that's why Ezekiel is pointing very much. He's talking more about this Jehoiakim. So how is that? He was one that had no seed. He was deprived of the benefit and comfort of his seed. In effect, he was a childless man because his children were carried into captivity and none of them did inherit the kingdom and succeed him in the throne. That's why he was pronounced childless. Sasa, his captivity, that is Jehoiakim, was long, and so that 7 years was he a prisoner in Babylon, as appear in 2 Kings 25:27. He stayed in captivity for that 7 years as a prisoner. Ebu soma 2 Kings 25:27. Soma.
Inasema, ikawa katika mwaka wa 37 wa kuhamishwa kwake Yekonia mfalme wa Yuda, katika mwezi wa 12 siku ya 27 ya mwezi, Evil-Merodaki mfalme wa Babeli, katika mwaka wa kwanza wa kutawala kwake, akamuinua kichwa Yekonia mfalme wa Yuda, akamtoa gerezani.
Unasikia? So he stayed in prison for that 7 years. And in fact, he himself, he voluntarily gave himself unto Nebuchadnezzar. That is 2 Kings 24:12. Soma.
Inasema, na Yekonia mfalme wa Yuda akatoka akamwendea mfalme wa Babeli, yeye na mama yake na watumishi wake na wakuu wa watu wake na maakida wake. Mfalme wa Babeli akamchukua mateka katika mwaka wa 8 wa utawala wake.
Yeah. And Jehoiachin, the king of Judah, went out to the king of Babylon, he and his mother, all his servant, and his princes, and his officers. And the king of Babylon took him in the 8th year of his reign. Unaona, alijipeleka voluntarily, lakini alifungwa miaka ngapi? Kwa hivyo alikuwa anafikiria akijipeleka voluntarily atafanya nini? Atawachiliwa. You know, that one, we shall come and study this king in a spiritual way, in a spiritual Babylon, and see why this king, he frontiered himself, and yet he had to stay in prison for almost 40 years. It is not just a history. There's a lot of things inside that. Many other people had advantage. They were not put into prison. They were taken to captivity, but they had freedom. Kwa hivyo, they were not kept in such a harsh place as this king. Sawa, wale wengine ambao walichukuliwa captivity, wao they had some freedom. But this king, kwa kweli yeye alikaa in prison for that 7 years. He was one of Josiah's posterity. Nilikwambia, it's very important to answer. He was one of the Josiah's posterity. And it's observed that the posterity of Josiah, who are king of Judah, in 23 years, were carried 4 times into captivity, whereas Josiah himself enjoyed 31 years in peace. Nasikia? Josiah, who reformed Jerusalem, was their father. He ruled that 1 year in peace in Jerusalem. But his children were carried into captivity 4 times. Do you kama tunasikia pale? Listen what happened to these children of Josiah. Jehoash, his son, reigned 3 months and then was carried away by Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt. Unasikia? The son of Josiah, huyo alichukuliwa, the firstborn, he reigned only 3 months and then was carried away in Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt. Huyo kaenda Egypt. Haya, if you read 2 King 23:34, it says, after him, Eliakim or Jehoiakim, another son of Josiah, being made king, was taken by Nebuchadnezzar. Unasikia pale? 2 King 23:34. Soma.
Inasema, Farao Neko akamfanya Eliakim mwana wa Yosia awe mfalme mahali pa Yosia babaye, akambadilishia jina lake kuwa Yehoakimu, lakini akamuondoa Yehoahazi akaenda naye Misri, naye akafa huko.
Unaona? So Jehoash ndio alikuwa the king. Akatoroa na huyu Pharaoh, akaweka ndugu yake ambaye sasa Eliakim ndio akaweka Eliakim. Akaenda na Jehoash, akakufia wapi? Egypt. Sawa? Read it.
Inasema, katika siku zake akakwea Nebukadneza mfalme wa Babeli, na Yehoiakim akawa mtumishi wake muda wa miaka 3, kisha akageuka akamwasi.
Yeah, in his days, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up, and Jehoiakim became his servant 3 years. Then he turned and rebelled against him. Sasa Jehoiakim tena amerebel against Nebuchadnezzar. So what happened? What's going to happen? Let us read 2 Chronicle 36. 2 Chronicle 36:5-6. Soma.
Inasema, Yehoiakim alikuwa na umri wa miaka 25 alipoanza kutawala. Akatawala katika Yerusalemu miaka 11, akafanya yaliyo mabaya machoni pa Bwana Mungu wake. Juu yake akakwea Nebukadreza mfalme wa Babeli, akamfunga kwa pingu amchukue mpaka Babeli.
Yes, that's now Jehoiakim 10 ameenda. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord his God. Against him came up Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and bound him in fetters to carry him to Babylon. That is Eliakim. Sasa, yeah, tena huyo naye amechukuliwa wapi? Babylon. Wote ni watoto wa nani? Wa Josia. So after this Eliakim came Jehoiakim, because when Jehoiakim was taken to captivity, he gave the seat unto his son Jehoiachin. After him, Jehoiachin, of whom we are speaking, is set up and reigned 3 months and 10 days. Who being young and fearful, yielded himself to Nebuchadnezzar that besieged Jerusalem, and was carried away together with many thousand others into Babylon. That is 2 Kings 24:10-12. Hebu soma.
Inasema, wakati ule watumishi wa Nebukadneza mfalme wa Babeli wakakwea kwenda Yerusalemu, na mji ukahusuliwa. Na Nebukadreza mfalme wa Babeli akaufikiria huo mji hapo watumishi wake walipokuwa wakihusuru. Na Yekonia mfalme wa Yuda akatoka akamwendea mfalme wa Babeli, yeye na mama yake na watumishi wake na wakuu wa watu wake na maakida wake. Mfalme wa Babeli akamchukua mateka katika mwaka wa 4 wa kutawala kwake.
Yes. Now, sinaona sasa Jehoiakim ameenda. After him, we have Zedekiah, his uncle, who reigned 11 years, and having broken his promises, violated his oath, and denying tribute to Nebuchadnezzar, is taken, his son slain before his eyes, himself carried away to Babylon, and there he died. You get it now, the point? Because Ezekiel is in Babylon during the time, the 5 years of captivity of Jehoiakim. Tunataka uone, even when Ezekiel is there, Jerusalem still there is a king, because we have here now Zedekiah, who is going to take over after Jehoiakim has been taken. His uncle, that's the uncle of who? Of Jehoiakim. Tunaelewana pale? Manake ni kana kwamba watoto wa Josia wameisha mpaka wameenda kwa nani? Kwa Ankos. Unaona sasa? So huyu atafanya makosa. Hebu tusome 2 Kings 25:7. Soma.
Ndipo wakamkamata mfalme, wakamchukua kwa mfalme wa Babeli huko Ribla, wakatoa hukumu juu yake, wakawaua wana wa Sedekia mbele ya macho yake, wakampofusha macho Sedekia, wakamfunga kwa pingu, wakamchukua mpaka Babeli.
Yes. You see, and they slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, and put out the eyes of Zedekiah. Mpaka macho wakafanya nini? And bowed him with the fetters of brass and carried him to Babylon. So you can see what I was saying. When Ezekiel is prophesying things of Jerusalem, he had gone, it was the 5th year of the captivity of Jehoiachin. So after Jehoiachin is going to come his uncle, Zedekiah, to be the king in Jerusalem. And he ruled 11 years. Unajua 11 years sio muda kidogo. So for 11 years, ujue alikuwa amekaa 5 years, Ezekiel anatabiri the captivity ya Jehoiachin. Miaka 5 akiwa wapi pale. Na huyu anko yake atachukua ushukani. His uncle will take over and he is going to rule for how many years? 11 years. That's how many years? Wakati sasa anaanza kutabiri ni 26 kutoka aende captivity. Manake huyu uncle akiwa apelekwe captivity sasa kauawe, Ezekiel atakuwa amemaliza miaka ngapi Babylon? 20 na ngapi? 16. Manake itakuwa ni 11 plus 5 plus 4. 16 years. So you can imagine Ezekiel wakati anatabiri Jerusalem itakaa miaka ngapi? Ingine 10 na ngapi? 16 ndio wakuje waende wapi? Waende Babylon. So you can see Ezekiel anaonyeshwa the vision of Jerusalem vile itaenda mpaka ifanye nini? Ifadhiliwe kabisa up to the end of time. Ndio sasa anaonyeshwa. Sasa hapo ndio nilikuwa nataka tuangalie, ndio tuone hii mambo vizuri, ndio wakati tunaendelea tuwe kama watu wanaelewa ni nini inaendelea. So if we come now to verse 3, inasema the word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of Chaldeans by the river Chebar. Nasikia? In the land of the Chaldeans by the river Chebar. And the hand of the Lord was there upon him. You see now here, it shows that Ezekiel was a priest. Meaning, he was not just a normal person. Because those people who have the vision of God, God always uses those people who are in the line of the priesthood. Sijui kama tunaona pale. Yeah, not just, if you look at many of the prophets, you find that they had come from that line either of kings or priesthood. Either they are children of priesthood or that line. Which means, even this Buzi or Bazi, huyu baba yake, was in that line. That's why you see, even his father is named. Sasawa. Let us read 2 Kings 24:10-12. So in short, let us say that we have read that verse. During this time of Ezekiel, they were taken There was Daniel, this time, Mordecai, the 3 children likewise, and Ezekiel were all taken during that time. Kwa hivyo you see, there was, maybe it was that time, by the time they were taking these people, they chose the priesthood, those who are priests, or those who are in that line, the enlightened one. So, we have seen, he began to prophesy in the 5th year of the captivity, 34 years after Jeremiah. 34 years after Jeremiah, who began in the 13th year of Joshua. You see, Jeremiah started in that, to prophesy in the time of Josiah. You see, he started to prophesy in the time of Josiah. But Ezekiel started to prophesy during the time of Jehoiachin. Nikataka tuone hiyo ya nani? Ya Jeremiah 1:2. Hebu soma.
Inasema, ambaye neno la Bwana lilimjia katika siku za Yosia mwana wa Amoni mfalme wa Yuda katika mwaka wa 13 wa kumiliki kwake.
Yeah, that's the time Jeremiah started. You see the difference now. So you can even calculate even the difference between Jeremiah and Ezekiel. Because it means even when Ezekiel is starting to prophesy, Jeremiah is very old. Even if he is alive in Jerusalem, but he's an old man. Yeah, alianza during the time of Josiah, the father of these four kings that are going to be in Babylon, to go into captivity. We have seen them. Yeah. So it means Jeremiah prophesied a long time, but these people, they were hard-hearted. You can imagine the prophecy of Hosea, not Hosea, of Jeremiah. So Hosea had gone before. Hosea was for the 10th tribe. Those who was for the 2 tribes in Jerusalem was Jeremiah and Ezekiel in Babylon. So what I'm trying to say, you can imagine from the time of reformation of Josiah, even when the children of Josiah, because they sinned before the Lord, their father did reformation. In fact, inasemekana Josiah ndio alifanya ile reformation kubwa sana in Jerusalem. Do you know that even before him, hata the book of the law ilikuwa ifanya nini? Imepotea. Ilipatikana wakati wake. Yeye ndiye alirevive. Na after that, manaka Jeremiah alianza 13 years of his reign. Ni kumaanisha watoto wake wakati walichukua, waliingiza kanisa katika giza kubwa sana. That's when God sent Jeremiah unto this church to come and help, because hawa watoto wa Josiah walishika njia ambaye ilikuwa ni njia mbaya sana. Otherwise, si unaona wote, even that line of Daudi itamalizikia kwa nani? Kwa wao. Kwa hivyo kumaanisha walikuwa, they did evil before the Lord. They were kings, lakini walikuwa si wafalme wa kuaminika hata kidogo. Na Jeremiah did a lot for them, lakini hawakusikia. Sawa? So we have seen that Ezekiel was a priest, and Ezekiel, the hand of the Lord was upon him. So when we say the hand of the Lord was upon him, the hand of the Lord is the Spirit of God. That means that hand of God is the one which was guiding him, was holding him. And that is why he was very accurate and he did many things. So, beside the visions, there was a real communication of truth to the understanding, evident and express command from God came upon him, and it was so as it had interest and it abided in him. So the word of the Lord came upon him, and the hand of the Lord was there upon me. That's what Ezekiel anasema. Kwa hivyo ni kazi alipatiwa na Mungu, na kwa kweli aliifanya kwa nguvu zake zote. Ni kwa sababu hata zile nguvu alikuwa nazo, it was because of that hand of the Lord which was upon him. That's why he did all that he did in that prophecy, or in this prophecy, or in this book of Ezekiel. So that was just an introduction of Ezekiel, of this prophecy of Ezekiel. God willing, we are going to start from there. We are going to start from which verse? Verse 4. Starting from next week, going onward, because we have seen the introduction of who Ezekiel was when he was prophesying and why he was in Babylon. Sasawa? Amen?